Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. I am the Crypto Crow. I am live for a little while. I've got some fun stuff to discuss. What we're going to cover in this video is we're going to go over some more information about Midnight and the Glacier airdrop. Some new stuff is released, so we're going to cover some of that. We're going to cover some of my recent trading activity and where I think current prices are likely to go. Kind of a follow-up to what I was talking about yesterday. I think we're on our way at this point. We're going to cover that. Then we're going to cover something fun because we're going to cover some details about Satoshi Nakamoto and whether or not how Finney may or may not be Satoshi Nakamoto. There's an interesting tale that's been woven across the interwebs for a while. Something I've never even seen before. And so I started diving into it, and we're going to dive into it a little bit together and maybe get a little more clarity on whether or not the rumors are true. So let's go ahead and start looking at what's going on. I've been trying to change some of my video settings a little bit. So you're going to start seeing like my messy room behind me, most likely, as I move and bob and weave. But anyway, we are live. 3 viewer hype. I'm not sure what that means. So anyway, let's go ahead and dive into it. I don't want to keep everybody waiting around too long. I don't want this to be an insanely long video. But anyway, this is the Midnight website. This is midnight.gd. For those of you that don't know, now you know. And this website's basically all about Midnight and everything associated with it. And they typically release new information as soon as it's available on here first. So it's probably a pretty safe place to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to link this in chat so that you guys have it. How's that? And I'll be curious to see what's happening in the price action with everything by the time I get to it. But anyway, there you guys are. What's going on, Big Pay? How you doing, man? Man, Jason had those tanning bed lights on today. Yeah, it's super bright. It's making up because I don't have much light going on. And the giant window I have in front of me, I have blocked out so that it doesn't just glare out my screens. So I've got this like low light compensation on that makes me look like Casper the Friendly Ghost. So what date did you need your ADA staked to get I think it was June 11th was when the snapshot was made. So anyway, night distribution, step by step. You're going to make your claim. This is the first step. You're going to wait for your allocation to thaw. So claimed allocations are initially frozen or locked and must thaw before they can be redeemed. And then you redeem your allocation. You must redeem your thought allocation to complete the process and receive your tokens. So this is going to be a process. It's going to take a little bit of time, apparently. And so why do I feel this is different than what I was just looking at? I've looked at this before. Hold on a minute. I don't know if I clicked something. I've covered this before. This isn't new. I was looking at something recently that was much newer. And it kind of showed some screenshots of the application. I don't know what happened to it or where it went. So this is really weird. Redeem. No. Dates to be confirmed. I don't know if this is right. I hope it's not, because if it is, it's really going to suck. But apparently it can take up to 360 days. So almost a full year before you're able to claim all of your night tokens in the airdrop. I'm assuming I'm going to assume this is a tactic so that everyone on all of the blockchains, not Cardano, have to kind of keep those wallets active. And I'm assuming, I mean, I guess it's brilliant in a way, but ultimately it looks like a way to say, hey, if you want these tokens, you have to be active in the community. At the very least, you're not going to be able to just create a dump wallet, get your night tokens, dump them on the market and bail and like leave. So, I mean, it makes sense. I guess I shouldn't say that it's silly, but it does look like it may take up to a year. Your first thaw is only going to release 25% of those tokens. And so day 1, day 25, day 90. Is this going to release in all these phases? When would each share of an allocation unlock based on the day of the first thaw? So yeah, I mean, there's going to be multiple phases where you're going to have to go in and claim, go in and claim, go in and claim. This is going to be like a super slick and easy methodology to this thing. You're going to have to go in and actively partake on a consistently regular basis. But yeah, by day 360, you should have all your night tokens. So I don't think there's going to be any big dumping, which this is actually really good long term, because even though this is likely going to conclude in the bear market, it's still good because it's going to keep people from just getting all of their allocations. People that don't care about Cardano, or people that watch like shitty channels that are constantly telling them to buy Solana and Sui and taking a shit on Cardano every chance they get, because I don't know if they're paid to, or they just feel the heat rising in that little pot of stew they're sitting in. But when I watch those videos, I watch them here and there, and I'm just like, they make me throw up in my mouth a little bit, because you can just see you can see the toxicity in these folks, man, and you can just see the greed and the way they're trying to manipulate their viewers. And some of their viewers are just so snowed. They're so bought in. But anyway, I see it, but it's going to keep those people from basically getting the midnight airdrop and just dumping on everybody and then going back to their degeneracy elsewhere. So anyway, we'll see. This is currently where I'm at. I'm on BitUnix. A lot of people have been asking me where I make my trades. If you go to cryptocrow.io and click the links button, all the links that I for everything that I do and use are there. But you can see I'm in a long trade that I got into around 15,883. It's up about 2,300 bucks. I anticipate this coming down. It came all the way down here, and I'm like, okay, I am going to be watching this like a hawk. I don't care if I have to stay up 24 hours, because I'm not going to. My liquidation price on this trade is like 102,000. Like, the likelihood that it gets all the way down there is probably pretty low, but I was looking at the chart, I was pricing it out, and it wouldn't be that big of a drop if the price actually did go that far. But if I'm looking at the price action right now, this is on a 15-minute candle. There are a few things that have happened. Obviously, all the way back here in this candle, which was basically a downward vector candle, we got the flux charts indicator triggered. And I'm like, son of a gun, man. I did not want to see that, even though I knew it was coming because I've been talking about it. It's like all of the confirmations I've been getting, because my trade was up to like 4,500 bucks in profit. I'm just like, I'm letting it go. I don't want to mess with it. And we got an M formation, which basically means we're going to get likely 2 to 3 levels down with a possible fourth extension. And so we got this first drop down, and in that we've met the first flux charts, take profit. Thing is, this goes all the way down here, man. Bitcoin, this is at 115,168. And I'm thinking, okay, that's fine, but the CME futures gap still apparently hasn't filled, even though the price has basically hit. And it looks almost as if there's a weird discrepancy between Bitcoin price on the charts and on exchanges and the CME futures. They're not one and the same. And it almost seems like there's about $1,000 plus discrepancy. So in order for the Bitcoin futures gap to fill at like 14.8, it's like we need to get down to like 13.8 or 13.7 in Bitcoin's price. And so we might be going there, and it'll be very interesting to see, because there's a lot of liquidity in these areas down here. And so it's almost as if Bitcoin would need to come down here just to fill that CME futures gap. And it very well is something that could be playing out tomorrow. And so we'll see. I'm looking at Cardano. I'm not going to take credit for this. I was watching Annie with Trade Travel Chill, who's like my favorite like trader in all of crypto anymore. I don't even watch anybody else anymore, really, for that matter. Annie is really about the only person I trust in trading in this day and age. But I basically took this from what she was discussing this morning, and she was basically talking about this pattern and how we're likely going to end up in this area of liquidity, this liquidity zone on a 15-minute candle. And that basically when price gets down into this area, we're going to be looking for a W to start to basically start blowing up out of this. And it could move down here, but it's not anywhere near as likely. And so I basically set a long trigger at around 70 cents, which is basically around right here. and maybe it comes down 69 or 68, starts forming a W and starts doing its thing, and we get a W, and then away we go. But that's basically what we're looking at on Cardano, and I'm like, that makes a whole hell of a lot of sense given where we're at, because this is likely going to continue moving down as Bitcoin continues moving down. And so it is what it is, man. I mean, and this is actually a pretty comfortable correction, because realistically, even if I were to throw this on a 4-hour, I've got so much junk on here, but even if I were to throw this on a 4-hour, let's look at the price real quick and say, what happens if, hold on. So the peak was somewhere up here. We can go up here even. That's fine. So we're going to go to the 4-hour. We're going to take this peak price. We're going to come all the way down here. These are just not big moves, man. I mean, and it's like the movement and velocity of these pumps and corrections are just, I mean, 11,000 from the local peak of where price hit. That's only 7.34%. So these major significant drops that we're used to seeing, we're not getting right now. Maybe we get one, but we're used to seeing as low as 40% drops in the price of Bitcoin. And a part of me is thinking we may never see those again. I don't know. I hope we don't, honestly. But like even down to 108, that's basically 11.68%. To hit my stop loss, or to hit my liquidation price on my trade, means Bitcoin coming all the way down to 102, around 102.8. That in itself is around 16.5% drop from the peak here on the 13th. And that worries me a little bit, because if there's one thing I've learned is that these market makers, they can move that price wherever they want it. And as long as they have the capital to do it, they can absolutely do it. Even if it takes them a week, they can do it. And so it makes me pretty nervous, which is why I'm basically eyeballing this. And I'm saying, okay, we got our first drop on the 15-minute candle with Bitcoin. And, from here, we might go sideways a little bit, get our second drop. That'll probably take us into my stop loss here, which it's going to exit my trade. And then we might come back up a little bit. Now, the thing that freaks me out is that we're not guaranteed that third drop. And so a part of me is thinking, well, do I want to risk, letting this price fall down into its third drop, maybe a fourth extension, and it potentially coming all the way down 16.5% from the peak, the local peak, and then wiping me out entirely? Or do I want to play it safe, let it hit my stop loss? I'll make $500 on the trade, and then just basically watch where this goes from here, and then either re-enter the trade a little bit higher if I have to, or hopefully we get that third leg down and I'm able to even get into a better position than I originally started. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm not 100% certain, so I'm going to be eyeballing this like crazy, probably getting a little more nervous on the way. But if we're going to hit somewhere around 70 cents on Cardano as we get into this liquidity zone, I just set a long trigger at 70 cents, and whatever happens, happens. And I feel pretty confident in that. So let's try to figure out who Satoshi Nakamoto is a little bit. Let's see. I'll get into some comments real quick. What are your thoughts on Charles saying this is a Giga Chad cycle and will likely go for most of 2026? I think it's about time Charles actually starts sharing some sentiment, right? Because he's basically avoided a lot of that for so many years. He wouldn't talk about price. He wouldn't talk about anything of that nature. And so now, I see a bit of a course correction with Charles and a lot of the things he's been doing lately for the better, honestly. And, I listen, here, the truth is, man, is we've all been getting super stressed out in this bear market. Now that we're starting to finally see some hope, it's kind of like we're focusing more on the positivity and the positive elements of the crypto space instead of dwelling on every little bad thing that happens. And it's easy to get caught up in that, especially after years of it. I'm guilty of it too. But I mean, I like the momentum that Charles has been building. His Sean Ryan interview was phenomenal. I mean, a lot of what he's been doing lately, I've seen a couple hiccups where I'm like, oh God, okay. But I feel like Charles would definitely do better. Just kind of ignoring the trolls. Like, I had one in my live chat yesterday. I just kind of laughed at him and told him to smoke another one. Like, people say dumb shit all the time, and people do different things to try and get a reaction out of people on YouTube or people in the public eye. And it's like, to me, it's kind of a beta mentality to do that kind of thing. But, like, to each their own. I mean, some people, that's all they get out of their day, is to be acknowledged for something shitty they said in public. And it's like, I don't agree with that. And it's worn Charles down. It's worn me down, just the constant back and forth. So to your point, I think it's a good thing that Charles is basically sharing the positive bullish sentiment of the market and putting Cardano in the forefront of that, because quite frankly, we have dealt as an ecosystem. Cardano has dealt with so many, like, trolls, naysayers, liars, paid campaigns, paid marketing against Cardano, you name it. And it's Charles has been fighting, to his credit, 100%. He's been fighting an uphill battle in literally everything he's done since inception. I've been a part of it since inception. I've seen it. I've watched it. And so, I think it's actually a good thing. And yeah, I believe him. I mean, it's not like he's making a direct statement saying this is going to be the case, but I think he's basically saying, hey, this is very likely, and maybe he's right. I mean, because a lot of the things many of us are waiting on are coming a little late in the season, a little late in this market cycle. Are we going to get an interest rate cut? Maybe. I'd like to think we do. I mean, shit, it's about time. When do we put the partisan politics and all the bullshit aside and start doing what we need to do? We need to cut these rates. Yeah. You know what we need to do? We need to cut interest rates, and especially we need to get the mortgage rates down so that everybody in New York has a place to go, because a lot of them are freaking out, and I would be too. So anyway, Satoshi's watching right now. Yeah, okay. That'd be cool. Satoshi is dead. I was thinking McAfee. No, McAfee is not. Absolutely not. So let's take a look at something here. I don't even know if you guys are going to be able to hear this, honestly. You might just see it, but we're going to cover it. No sound. Okay. So you can't see it, but basically what it boils down to is this. So there's this game, right? And I remember this game because I'm pretty sure this was available on the Commodore 64, and it was by Sierra Games. And they were a big deal when I was a kid, man, because a lot of the games, point and click adventures, kind of like Maniac Mansion type of thing. But in this game, there was a currency called Buckazoids. And in this currency in the game, it had what is effectively the Bitcoin logo on this. And this is from 1991. And the game is called Space Quest 4, and it was basically with the Freemasonic eye. This is nonsense here. This isn't the Freemasonic eye, actually. It was just an eye it was an eye icon, so that when you can look at things and get details on things to figure out whether or not you can interact with them or whatever. So that was silly. But then it was going over these programmers, Rodney Nakamoto and Satoshi Usaka. Now, it was basically connecting both of these developers with the game, but I see no mention of this game. There were relationships with Sierra, and the story behind Sierra Games is actually pretty cool because, hold on, I just got a notification on my exchange. I'm assuming Oh, it broke above 118. All right, so it's moving up still. So it basically it connected these two developers, but it's interesting that you have somebody named Nakamoto and Satoshi. Basically, they are both connected to Sierra Games. Sierra Games ultimately creating Space Quest 4. I'm pretty sure this was Sierra. Tandy. Oh my gosh, man. Who remembers the Sound Blaster video cards? There's also a company that there's a YouTuber that he's taking over the Commodore, the company, and he's resurrecting it and re-releasing new Commodore 64s that are like kind of modern tech, but with the old style. I'm so planning on getting one of those. So platform DOS or Windows. I could have swore this was available on Commodore. But I'm not even seeing Game Blaster. Oh my gosh, this is so crazy. Even looking at these words has taken me back to my childhood in such a crazy way. But anyway, Sierra Online. And Sierra was basically like a husband and wife couple where I think the wife was like the creator of things and the husband was the programmer. And it was just like, it's a really cool story. So anyway, they're all connected. They're connected with the game, but not actually directly connected by name in the game's credits, just in terms of their relationship with Sierra. So then you've got Hal Finney. And Hal Finney is this programmer, and he wrote this big old thing. Hal Finney told his story with Bitcoin 11 years ago today. I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit. Now, apparently, Hal Finney had working relationships with both of those gentlemen. And this is something that apparently Hal Finney wrote many, many years ago. And this was ultimately before Bitcoin was even a thing. And so he was talking about the things that he did as it related to Bitcoin. Fast forward. So he worked on, I'll just read some of this. For those who don't know me, I'm Hal Finney. I got my start in crypto working on an early version of PGP, working closely with Phil Zimmerman. When Phil decided to start PGP Corporation, I was one of the first hires. I would work on PGP until my retirement. At the same time, I got involved with cypherpunks. I ran the first cryptographically based anonymous remailer, among other activities. Fast forward to late 2008 and the announcement of Bitcoin. I've noticed that cryptographic graybeards, I was in my mid-50s, tend to get cynical. I was more idealistic. I have always loved crypto, the mystery and the paradox of it. When Satoshi announced Bitcoin on the cryptography mailing list, he got a skeptical reception at best. Cryptographers have seen too many grand schemes by clueless noobs. They tend to have a knee-jerk reaction. I was more positive. I had long been interested in cryptographic payment schemes. Plus, I was lucky enough to meet and extensively correspond with both Wai Dai and Nick Szabo, generally acknowledged to have created ideas that would be realized with Bitcoin. I had made an attempt to create my own proof of work-based currency called RPOW, so I found Bitcoin fascinating. When Satoshi announced the first release of the software, I grabbed it right away. I think I was the first person besides Satoshi to run Bitcoin. I mined block 70 something, and I was the recipient of the first Bitcoin transaction. When Satoshi sent 10 coins to me as a test. So here's the thing. He was obviously involved very, very early on, right? But where is Hal Finney now? Well, sadly, he passed away from ALS. And he is in cold storage. So Bitcoin's earliest adopter is cryonically freezing his body to see the future. So it's interesting that what we call Bitcoin and crypto storage on cold wallets, cold storage, because that's basically where Hal Finney is now. And there are a lot of things connecting this. I believe that there were a lot of people ultimately associated with the development of Bitcoin. I'm not even 100% sure, if I'm honest. I'm not even 100% sure that all of those who are involved with Bitcoin and its creation know of each other. That's what I think. I don't even know if they know that what they were working on at the time was an element of Bitcoin until it all came together. And I just, because quite frankly, I think a government agency created Bitcoin, quite frankly, whether it was the NSA or otherwise. There was obviously the story that I did a long time ago, years ago, about, I don't even remember, like Bitcoin's on the SHA-256 algorithm, and then there was another, was like E-money or something like that came out like 10 years before Bitcoin did, and then there was that hardware that it was called like the Clipper chip or something, and it was basically like a backdoor. It was like a backdoor key. It was like a hardware key that would give access to the blockchain. And once news came out that this Clipper chip existed, all of a sudden the entire thing disappeared for a decade, which I guess is enough time for the most people to forget about something before they re-release it on a better algorithm and a new name and new tech. So I personally think it was I personally believe Bitcoin was a government project, because it doesn't take a rocket scientist even then to see the future and the need and the direction we were going. But yeah, I don't think Hal Finney was Satoshi Nakamoto. I do think that it was a collective of people. How many, I don't know, but I think Hal Finney was definitely, like, whether he might have been like the nucleus of it all, or somehow more deeply connected, that I think he led on in his commentary and things like that he's posted online. I just don't see how a fanboy like that would basically get the very first transaction on the blockchain. I mean, that's like commemorative, right? So it's almost like I don't see how that's possible. So anyway, I just thought it'd be interesting to share and give everybody kind of a little something more interesting to discuss and to talk about. And so we're starting to get some indecision candles here on the 15-minute chart, working our way back down into what's very likely going to be the leg 2 down in Bitcoin's price. And then from there, I don't know if we're going to get a third leg down, or if we're going to start basically going sideways a little bit into a Wednesday reversal. But man, if I have to be up all night eyeballing this and watching it, I'm going to, because I don't want to lose my I don't want to lose what I think it was basically just a boss entry into the future of this asset. So this guy really, I am. I love Annie. I think she's great. I don't hide that. I don't apologize for it either. I honestly think Annie's one of the best traders out there, and I've learned a hell of a lot from her. So yeah, you're right, Hector. I am. I'm proud of that. I just don't believe the government invented Bitcoin. Too many were working on this going back years. They just actually made it work this time. Maybe. I don't think anybody's ever supposed to really figure it all out, but Bitcoin is the Trojan horse to push digital currency. Probably. Probably. I think that it's funny, though, that there are so many cypherpunks, you name it, and we're all talking about Bitcoin sovereignty and all this and stuff, but it's all traceable, man. Like, it's all trackable. Everything you've done on the blockchain is out there for anybody to explore and connect dots. Like, the politicians that are like, oh, people are laundering money using crypto and this, I'm like, it's all on chain. Like, we've known that they have these corporations that can track everything you do on chain. It's not like anything's hidden. So a lot of these narratives about crypto being like, I believe personally that crypto is basically going to be how literally every financial system in the world operates in partnership with artificial intelligence, monitoring it all. That's all there is to it. And I think that Internet of Things is definitely going to be a bigger narrative, I think, as we head into 2030 as well. I don't think it's as big a narrative right now because it's all about AI and blockchain. But once we have all this stuff settled and like kind of the dust is settled from the newness of a lot of the new bills and the laws and the way the governments are working with it and all of that, I think a lot of the narrative is going to transition into Internet of Things. And it's going to be all about Internet of Things, tracking everything. And it's all going to come from a place of help. You know, it's all going to come from a place of like this internet, this IoT gadget or gizmo. I mean, we already see it, right? But I think it's going to be a much bigger deal. I mean, it's going to track everything. It's going to track everything you eat. You know, it's going to track your caloric intake. It's going to track like your energy levels. You know, it's going to get really nuts. I mean, it really is going to get nuts. So yeah, that's it. I just wanted to kind of share that, and it's okay. Ava Angel, still look cool with your green name. Ava, how are you? Good to see you anyway. Yeah, so that's it. I just wanted to share a little bit of tidbits on what's going on, what I think is happening in Bitcoin's price, Cardano's price, and you know, a little bit of Hal Finney news and a little bit of conspiracy theory there for all of the folks that like to poke some fun and have some fun with those sorts of things. So until next time, thanks for joining me. Make sure you click on the link, cryptocrow.io, and join me there. And until next time, crow your coins, and I'll see you soon.